invest $1.5 billion into the development of its deep water operations in Nigeria. The investment is expected to commence from the second quarter of this year until 2027. Meanwhile, the Nigerian liquefied natural gas company is expected to receive more than 150,000 tons of gas a month from Seplat Energy's annual gas processing company. Now, with the deal in place, the NLNG is expected to experience a 12% increase in its gas supply. Oyeyemi Oke, partner at Ayotu Law, joins me to discuss these developments. Oyeyemi, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, sir. Good afternoon.
Right. Let's start with the ExxonMobil story. $1.5 billion expected to be invested in the development of its deepwater operations in Nigeria. Talk to us about the most important elements of this investment. What do we need to know?
I think first we should say this is some type of expression of confidence in the Nigerian market by an IOC, subsequent to divestment. I mean, you recall that earlier this year, there was a completion of the transfer of Mobile offshore operations to Seplat, right? And there were fears that these divestments seem to be some type of rationalization by an IOC, which I mean is not uncommon considering the various divestments we've seen by Shell, Total, and other IOCs. But I mean, the investment into the deep water operations shows that there is still some type of appetite by IOCs into the Nigerian markets. The deal essentially, I mean, the proposed investment is for the Usan deepwater asset, which is supposed to be invested over a period of 2 years or perhaps 18 months, since we're already at mid of 2025. So it's supposed to happen between now up until 2027. In my view, do not forget that, I mean, essentially this shows that the likes of ExxonMobil as an IOC, the investment which they intend to make in Nigeria will be concentrated on deep water assets. Don't forget that they also have interest in the Era field, and consistent investment is also going to be made by ExxonMobil apart from this $1.5 billion investment in the Usan field. So I think it's a good thing in terms of expression of confidence in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. But I mean, certain questions needs to be asked in as much as, I mean, what I see from perhaps the likes of ExxonMobil is to just maintain its current presence in terms of the existing deepwater assets which it has in Nigeria as of today, without necessarily investing or looking to invest in new assets or new opportunities. And I'm saying this on the back of the recently announced successful bidders of the 2024 bid rounds. You could see that the likes of perhaps Stardeep and Total were prominent names within the successful or in the list of the successful bidders, to the exclusion of the likes of ExxonMobil. So in my view, what perhaps is the strategy of ExxonMobil is to just maintain its current deepwater assets without necessarily expanding by looking for more assets.
Right. Let's move on to the Seplat NLNG gas deal. What we understand is that, I mean, the agreement is still in preliminary stages. No major announcements have been made. But what we also do know is that 150,000 tons of gas per month will be supplied from Seplat to the NLNG. We know the NLNG is still having challenges with gas supply and all of that. But talk to us about your initial thoughts about this deal, especially since it's also been said that it's just a short-term arrangement.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NLNG is trying to ensure that it reduces its potential exposures to some of its off-takers, by ensuring that there is feedstock to process gas and to liquefy gas for the purpose of perhaps export, or most likely exports. If you recall, in February of this year, there was an announcement that Taliberas and Vitol got a judgment against the NLNG on the basis of the fact that there was breach of contract as cargoes were not supplied. So I think this is a move by NLNG to ensure that there is availability of feedstock so as not to be in breach of this contractual obligation. Now, for me, it's more of, I would say, a symbiotic relationship with regards to the potential transaction as Shell, as the NLNG is also looking for feedstock. Seplat is also looking for the ability to be able to supply gas, which it has now which it has now come to have in abundance as a result of its current acquisition of the Seplat assets. So, in as much as we don't know or we don't have sufficient details of the transaction as at now, I think it's a win-win situation for both the supplier, which will be Seplat under this instance, and the offtaker, the NLNG, in terms of making feedstock available for the purpose of their exports. In terms of how this affects us, perhaps this also affects us as a country if we are able to make more revenues, or if the NLNG is able to make more revenues, considering that the Nigerian government is also a shareholder in the NLNG.
But there's still that question around, because you've said it's a short-term arrangement. What happens in the meantime while this agreement is on for a short term, in terms of what the NLNG is doing to address its own internal issues of pipeline vandalism, theft, and all of that? Like you said, it has to continue to meet its commitments to domestic supply and, of course, international LNG markets. What happens in the meantime? What should the NLNG be doing now?
I think the concern with regards to, if you recall, that one of the problems with regards to the feedstock for the NLNG has been vandalism, pipeline vandalism. Earlier this year, there were reports that the production, the supply has hit a low of about maybe up to 20%, right? So what that means is about 80% is being lost with regards to theft. So in terms of things that needs to be done, right, is also ensuring that there is security of infrastructure. And I think I mentioned this before now, that what needs to be done is also, from the security perspective, this is not necessarily an LNG problem. It is a Nigerian problem. And Nigeria as a government should also ensure that security is bolstered to ensure that there is some gas production.
All right, Oyeyemi, thank you so much for sharing your perspective on these stories. We appreciate your time today. Oyeyemi Oke, partner at AO2 Law.